right, everyone, I welcome you all again. So we're going to start our first session. The title will be Brand Innovation and Social Media Transformation. Brand innovation is perhaps the most important capability in business today. If your brand is your core asset, then innovation is about how you evolve and leverage. This asset is changing markets. To begin with this online conference, we are pleased to have Ms. Judy Winslow, Chief Excitement Officer, brandologist, consultant, speaker, trainer, and an author. Her love affair for her business started in her teens and has been the right-hand person for founders and CEOs for decades. Her ability to creatively solve each unique challenge has resulted in many success stories amongst a variety of clientele, ranging from nonprofits such as the Boys and Girls Club of America to Women's Day magazine, CoverGirl, Clarion, and Elizabeth Taylor, plus multiple startups in varying industries. Ms. Winslow has also won several design awards throughout her career for branding and identity work. As consultant, coach, trainer, speaker, and designer, she pulls from various disciplines that imbue each project with an unforgettable voice. Each differentiates her clientele with respect to their vision and desires. She founded TEDx Sarasota, coaches MBA students, and she is active with Leadership Sarasota and Florida Creative Alliance. Her latest mission to inspire young game changers with a global impact project. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have Ms. Judy Winslow to enlighten us on brand innovation and social media transformation. Welcome, Ms. Judy Winslow. Now the platform is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here, and thank you all for joining me and this session of the Global Digital Marketing Summit Kick-Off. Yay. So just let me start by saying that this session is all for you, about you, and designed for you, your brand and your innovation, and mostly your transformation. So please listen from that space, with a beginner's mind, not of how you have heard perhaps some of these points before, but how they can apply to you today, in this moment, and accelerate you from where you are. Okay? Okay. So, and also, please be sure to ask your questions, because if you have a question, it's likely that someone else has that same question, and we really want this to be interactive. We will take your questions later. Okay. All right, I'm going to share a quote with you. Please listen carefully, I guess, because you can't see it. So, the first quote is from Tom Peters, and he says, "Excellent firms don't believe in excellence, only in constant improvement and constant change." And this is stated decades ago, but it's still important because firms don't chase, and companies and brands don't chase excellence. What they look for is how to improve and change, innovate, so that excellence occurs. So there is a very big difference there. So I hope that you understand the difference. Yes? So please hold that in your thoughts as we move forward. Okay, so please think of our session in that spirit of creating excellence through this innovation portal. Okay, so I just want to start with a small story about myself for those of you who don't know me. So I am one of those people that always felt that I did not fit in. I was your classic misfit, as many of us are, only we don't acknowledge, don't have this awareness. And I was always the kid that didn't fit in, that felt like an outsider, that was always on the edges, observing and watching everyone else and wishing that I could be a part of everything. And it was very difficult, actually, and it was a very kind of dark childhood for me as a result of this feeling. If you've ever felt this way, I would love for you to raise your hand and let us know, because we are not alone, right? And so the funny piece of this, the irony of all of this, is that I began to work and realize that this was my sort of key to my success, and this was my golden ticket, because as this observer, I was able to see things that other people did not see who were in it, if that makes any sense. So this was discovered by me when I went to university, and I realized that there was this value in standing out, that there was a value in not being part of everything else. So that is what I ended up, it's my career, which is sort of the irony of the gods, is that when you think that somebody is your something is your downfall, it is very likely your best asset. So I say that your quirks are your strategic advantage. So rather than pushing them aside, embrace your quirks and know that this is part of what is moving you and propelling you forward to that excellence that we spoke of earlier. So instead of squashing them down, think about how you can amplify them, right? So that is the first place to innovate and to really look at what it is that you are bringing to this party of that we call life and business, because we tend to dismiss what is unique about ourselves, and that's just a crazy part of this world that invalidates us, and we don't understand the value. And I have experienced this from the solopreneur and all the way to the vice president of marketing for, huge corporations. So most people don't understand this, and this gives me a unique perspective, and I want you to have this perspective too. So today we're going to look at three main things to design for you so that they can relate to your perspective on effective branding, innovation, and social media as you can transform it today, because it's moving so quickly. It's going to change again, probably before the end of the day, right? Thank you, Betty Jane. I appreciate your comment. Betty says it's good for you. But I want it to be good for you too. So consider that for yourself. So today we're going to look at number one, the best way that big companies have found to attract customers. And when I say customers, I mean ideal customers. Am I still not loud enough for people? Because I have it very loud over here. I just got a note from Texila. The second point is we're going to talk about what's evolving that you can take advantage of right now. I want you to be able to walk away with something you can implement now. Okay. And the third is the number one thing to focus on now. So we can really then wrap this all together so you can begin applying it. Okay? Good. Okay, so we're first going to look back a little bit before we look forward. So we're going to do a little bit of back and forth, historically, if you will. And I want to tell you a little story about a man who was passing through an airport. This was in 1971, and his flight was delayed. So he was observing, right? What do we do when our flight is delayed? We hang out and look around. And he started to notice something that would eventually become very important. And it became a song, which I will now embarrass myself and sing to you. Please bear with me. See if you know this song. I'd like to build the world a home and furnish it with love. Grow apple trees and honey bees and, see, I can't sing, and snow white turtle doves. Do you know this song? Do you know who the client is? Anybody? Okay. What happened, and I will tell you in a minute, what happened is that he realized that this product that he was representing was not just a commodity. It was, for him, and I want you to hear this because this is true for you too. What you think you're selling is not what you're selling. It's not a commodity. It's not a product. It's not an offer. It's something else. And what he realized is that this thing that he was offering was a bridge between people, between humanity. It was something to gather around, to move towards. Okay. Does this make sense? He was developing a language for the business. So if you know what this is, I'd love for you to type in the comments. And for those of you that don't know, I'll keep singing, sorry. It's almost over. I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. I'd like to buy the world a Coke and keep it company. Right? This went on. There's more, but I won't torture you. So this jingle went on to literally make the Billboard charts to become #7 on the Billboard charts, which is huge. But this one realization allowed Coca-Cola to really open up how they view their marketing, their branding, and their positioning throughout the decades. And if you research Coca-Cola, which I deeply advise, you will see that they are still using this today. As a matter of fact, I just saw a commercial here in the US, and they are still using this premise, right? It was two young girls in a bathroom sharing a Coke while putting on makeup and taking selfies. So they're still really using this opportunity as this bridge. So you're going to see that this is very important. Your product is not a commodity. It provides something else for your audience. So you want to consider, what is this thing that is being provided? I sure wish we had slides. Okay. So once Coke had this new perspective, they were able to develop it. And then think about this too. Even McDonald's does this. McDonald's is not a place to buy a burger. It was always the place to provide this environment for families to come together. It was about being social and being in a clean, well-lit. So there's all these things, and even today, in the food industry, we started out by creating drive-through windows, and now I know in the US they're everywhere. So you'll see that they become this iconic opportunity. And that's where you want to look at innovation, of what can you adopt from one industry that you can use in your industry. So you want to stay aware and very keen on that. Okay. Let's see. Here's the difference. We want to share what we do in different and more personal ways. This is becoming more and more important as we become more and more technology advanced. Yes? So that's very critical. We buy from people that we know, like, and trust. And this is becoming more and more important as we become more and more distant from one another, and as the world becomes smaller. I mean, look at this today. We're in a global classroom here. And now we think of this as common, but it was not a very short time ago. So how can you create this feeling of knowing, liking, and trusting from your audience? Very important. Here's something that I found. 6 of 10 YouTube subscribers say that they would follow one of their creators' advice before following a celebrity. Interesting. Why? Because we take the word of someone like us. So who is your audience, and how can you share with them in a way that they will hear you? Yes? Okay, so that's the internal question to play with, because as we move into this new age of technology blended with innovation, blended with relationships, which is really what we're talking about here, this is where brand innovation begins. Because when you build connections with your audience, you're designing your materials for this and for their ears and eyeballs. You want to keep in mind, of course, how to do that, how they can know you and build relationships. And often this means many forms, yes? And so you don't want to get sucked into one form. Okay, so again, think about in 1937, we think of things as being new, but it's not so much new, it's the application. In 1937, Procter and Gamble created TV shows. We are now calling them soap operas, right? Or novellas. It depends on where in the world you are. And the reason that they did this was to pull in the eyeballs of the women at home. They understood that women made the buying decisions. So they wanted to be able to have women see this work. And this was the beginning of product placement, right? During the commercials, they would show their products. Can you see that? So this allowed them to position everything that they were up to. Now today we look at this through the eyes of paid influencers. They're on every channel. They're hosting live events. They generate content daily through YouTube and other channels, and they live a brand philosophy, right? They stand in their brand. We all do it differently. I do it through my eyeglasses, believe it or not. I wear different glasses all the time. I change my hair. One of the organizers was very surprised. I change my hair all the time. We all have different ways that we relate to our people. So here's what's very important about this. We are connecting and building relationships, and we want to make sure that we are always deepening these relationships. So how do you do that? So here's something I wanted to share with you. Wait, I have to find my statistics since they're not on my slides. Excuse me. Okay. So you may build online, but you want to make sure that this platform, the relationship you create on one platform, is distinct and different from another. So what you post, this makes me crazy. What you post on Facebook is not what you will post on LinkedIn, is not what you will post on Instagram, right? You want to be correct for that audience and that platform. This is a very big mistake that people make. They just post the same thing on multiple platforms. Please don't do that. It doesn't help you stand out, and it doesn't help you be different. So who here actually changes what they post on each platform? I would like to know. And if you don't, what is keeping you from doing so? Because each platform really has a different profile of audience and those you're speaking to. So you want to be very careful with that. Okay, so don't forget this. This is really important. This is all about relationship building. All right. Second point, let's talk about the difference between branding and marketing before we go any further. So marketing is the outreach of your strategic plan. Oh, good, Kevin. Kevin posts differently on each platform. Go, Kevin. Okay. Marketing is your strategic plan, right? It's the means of getting your materials and content out in the world. It's the purpose of creating a profit. It's building your business. It's becoming known in your category. This is the purpose of your marketing. But your brand is not that. Your brand is different. There's distinctions. So some say that your brand is your promise, right? Recently I was at this big event, and there was a CEO from P&G, from Procter and Gamble, and he talked about that your brand is your promise. Other people feel that your brand is your reputation, your online perception, your reputation, what people would say about you. I actually believe that it is different from both of those. It includes those, excuse me, but it is the DNA, it's the soul of your business. Your brand is the soul of your business. It is the heartbeat. It is the footprint. It is the magic, right? So how do we create that? It includes above, as I mentioned, but there's other facets. So think of your brand a little bit as a diamond. A diamond has many facets, and without those multiple facets, it doesn't shine as brightly. Well, neither do you, right? So another way to think about it, and I have my people think about it, is like a brand is like a person, except this person you design. You design its hair color. You decide if it's purple or straight or curly. You design their eyes. You design what schools they go to. So think of it like that. A brand is a living, breathing organism. And that is why it is the soul of your business, and it becomes these other things out of what you do, out of what you say, and out of the alignment of these elements to all blend together. So you want to be able to begin from here so that you design your brand and your marketing from this place. And this is a very important distinction that many people skip, and I really advise you not to do that. Okay. So if we want to look at the examples given so far, what we've been talking about is what we call push marketing. And oftentimes, this is kind of old school, but it's become part of the new school as well, in that push is when we place things in front of people. So the P&G, that was push. When you see a Coke or a product in front of someone in a TV show, or celebrities wearing their Gucci belts and their Fendi bags, and right, that's all pushing. But we're now blending it, right? When else does that? When you go to the mall and they're trying to get you to try a fragrance and they're spraying everyone, that is push marketing. So this has been the norm for decades. When you receive something in the mail, direct mail, that's all push marketing. I'm not saying this is bad. I'm just sharing with you that this has been the standard, if you will, right? To push radio, push. You're listening to a song and all of a sudden comes on, buy my dry cleaning. This is all push marketing. So today what we're looking at doing is we're employing something called pull marketing. So let me just define this for you. So push, just to be clear, is placing a product or service before your prospect. Right? So it's usually some form of paid adverts. Pull is focusing on creating awareness. It's increasing brand visibility. It's generating leads, and it's particularly online. Why? Because with pull marketing, it's the opposite of push, right? We're pulling people towards us. They're raising their hand to say, yes, I want more. So although you may see a Facebook ad, for instance, this is the reason why it's pull and not push. In order for you to make that active, you have to click on it, right? You have to engage with it. So you're choosing, it's called raising your hand, just like you are here today, right? We're raising our hand to be a part of this. That's right, Manusha. Pull and push works for everyone in every industry, and that's why it's so critical. Thank you. Yes, it's cross-category applicable. Very important. Okay, so that's why we offer ebooks. That's why we offer white papers or blogs. Oh, that's because that is pull marketing. That's pull marketing at work. All right. Let's see, what else did I want to share with you? So when you use pull, you're making your clientele, your market, it's easier for them to reach you because they are volunteering to do so. Okay. So that is a really big innovation. We're going to have more, I believe, we're going to have more and more pull marketing and more pull marketing techniques and ways to activate pull marketing. So the biggest thing about that, oh gosh, I want to share this with you because in the intro we shared innovation in a particular way, and that's how I think about innovation. So innovation to me is about pulling together disparate ideas. So have you heard of a peanut butter cup? Chocolate and peanut butter came together and they created this new thing. And so that's what I call innovative ideas. They're peanut butter cups. So what you want to look at is how can you create a peanut butter cup in your industry? Because if there's nothing new, if I'm sharing with you some of these old ideas and techniques, how do we pull them into our now? And that's what I want you guys to be thinking about. So how can we create that? We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But peanut butter cups are very important. So remember, a peanut butter cup is taking two ideas that don't seem to make sense, putting them together for something new. I like to use the concept of a drive-through window, which began really in the banking industry, but now we use it for hot dogs and hamburgers. We use it for And they use it for beverage services here. They use it for dry cleaning services in the US. They use it for drugstores. So you can just drive through and pick up your prescription without ever going into the store. So where else does this occur? You can create a peanut butter cup as well. Tom's Shoes did this, right? Tom's Shoes created the buy one, give one, which is now a very standard business model. And he created this. But now it's the norm. So you can create something that becomes the norm. Faith Popcorn, do you guys know who Faith Popcorn is? If not, look her up. She is a trend spotter. She creates, and she calls this inculturizing. So when something is created, and then we weave it into our culture, that is when something becomes inculturated. So you want to consider that. It's very, very important. And the biggest piece of this is something I call your twist. Your twist. TWIST. This stands for the way I see things. Very important part of your brand. Very important part of how you innovate and create your own pull. So how do you see things? Remember earlier we started out with your quirks are your strategic advantage. So what are the quirks? What are the differentiators of your product or business that can help you design your twist? Twist is very important. Don't underestimate it. So understand this. Okay, the last piece, I'll go quickly, is that the last piece is all around, and this leads to that, is your content. The biggest innovation is epic content. It's the piece that drives it all. Did you know that 70% of customers would rather learn about a company through an article over any form of advert? They would rather go through this line of education. Educational marketing is so impactful. It allows you to stand out. It allows you to be different, educate, position yourself as an authority. There's so many benefits. You can add your twist. You can show how you innovate. So this way of creating followers is very, very important. Remember, over 500 million people watch Facebook videos every day, and over 300 million are on Twitter. So what we're posting and what we're sharing is very important. Don't think that there's no eyeballs because it's a crowded market. It will only get more crowded, and this need to be of your own perspective and your own twist is very critical. Let's see, I wanted to add these elements that are very important. So what do you need for epic marketing and epic content? Epic content is relatable to your ideal market, right? They will hear you. Don't worry about those that are not your ideal clients because some of them will hear you, some of them won't. We want to speak to our people, our tribe. We want to feel that we belong. We want it to be memorable. So what stories can you tell that add your twist, that make everything that you're sharing unique? The biggest topics right now, please write this down, are babies, animals, right? How many dogs and cats do you see? Seniors, because it's a growing market, and the environment. Those are the 4 biggest categories right now. So you want to be able to plug into some of those. And again, you want to be able to use, of course you want to personalize, and you want to make sure that you are trustworthy, that whatever you're up to is created from a place of being trustworthy to your listeners and buyers. Okay, did you get that? So make sure that they feel understood and related to, and that you can be very clear. Okay? Okay. So the last piece is, how do you do that? Well, this is very important. This is where we are today, and I imagine this will change very quickly, because the biggest thing about innovation and branding today is that it changes very quickly. So I've been in this game a very long time, and gone are the days where you would revisit your website every 10 years, or a strategy every 10 years. You know, they used to do that once a decade. Now we need to do it quarterly. I have all my clients, we review, we revisit, and we redefine what we're up to on a quarterly basis. The beautiful thing about that is that we can, on a dime, act quickly and make changes, so we can always course correct, right? We can't get from where we are to where we want to go without a map to get there. It makes it much harder. So we're going to make it easier on ourselves if we do that. Okay, so the way that we want to work is, this is our how. We're going to focus on micro-targeting. It's a much better use of your spend, so you won't go through your financial burn as quickly. Micro-target. Take the time to micro-target. You want to make sure you find the right platform for your offering. Do not go on all platforms. Choose 2, maybe 3, I suggest 2, and really become known on those 2 platforms. Sometimes we have another platform that we just personally enjoy. For instance, right now I just love Instagram because I'm a visual person. It's not necessarily where my clients are, but I love it, so I play there. But my clients are mostly on Facebook, so it makes sense for me to spend most of my energy and time there, as well as LinkedIn. So think about that for yourself. It's very critical. Use a mixed media, as I'm sharing here. Don't just go with technology. Use some old school. Pick up the phone, have a Skype call, meet people from around the world. Look at somebody who's in this session with you and connect with them. Find ways to be different and stand out. Okay, and certainly use your unique voice. So many of us, we have been learning, we have jargon. Don't use any of that. Pepper it in. Use statistics, but make sure that you're speaking in your own voice. Be yourself. There's only one of you. There's a reason for that. You are unique and special. Don't shadow and cloud that over with something you are not. It's very, very important. Okay, what are the benefits? The benefits are that you get to speak to your ideal audience without overspending. You know, you're not CocaCola. CocaCola spends billions with a B on marketing. When you want to be a small business and be effective, you have to be laser focused. So I don't care whether you have billions or tens. You want to be very specific. You're going to save in application, energy, and time. It will allow you to be faster to market, and you will create customers who are more loyal. And loyalty is a very fleeting thing these days. So how do you create it so that people are loyal? Okay, so let's pull this all together then, yes? Because we are running out of time. So today was much about this. How you build relationships is critical. Without that piece, whether we're pushing or pulling, it's a very important piece to building it all together so that it has a higher impact. Today's social media is, at the end of the day, it's all about relationships. So whether we're using whatever platform, at the end of the day, it's about relating to your people so that they can hear you and so that they are heard. You want to make sure to add your twist, right? Anybody remember what that is? The way I see things. Make sure you add your twist. Create compelling content and use your stories about yourself and others so that people can really reflect into those and then pull out what's important to them.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Winslow.